Hey everyone, Justin Thomas here. I'm the founder and lead consultant at JourneyEngine. Today, I'm going to run you through an end-to-end case study of how we drove organic growth for a growth stage B2B SAAS company called WorkVivo. This is going to be a step-by-step breakdown of our exact framework that we run every client through. Really, nothing is going to be left out from our process here, so I think it's going to drive you a ton of value. And I'm excited to get started. So stand by. So in this study, again, we're going to be running you through the exact process we use to generate an exponential lift in organic traffic, sales qualified leads, and $15,000 savings in PPC cost per month. The client was workvivo.com. This is a collaborative web platform that combines social media networking with internal employee communication tools. When the business came to us, they already had a product market fit and they already had some growth. They were becoming increasingly relevant in the era of remote work in around 2019 when COVID hit. So they had a definite product market fit, but they did have a couple issues and challenges. The biggest two problems were, number one, they were not driving enough awareness through organic traffic. They were putting out a ton of content, but that content was not driving users, and overall, their content was not driving qualified leads. So the marketing team retained us to quickly roll out a campaign that would resolve these two issues, and not only resolve those two issues, but prove that those issues were resolved with hard data. So the same framework we run through all of our clients, we applied to this business, only on an accelerated timeline, which I'll explain in a second. So each of these phases has deliverables associated and tied to it. We're going to run through each piece of this framework and how we applied it for WorkVivo. So the discover phase includes a competitive audit, website quality audit, a traffic projection and ROI projection report, and a detailed long-term project plan. The competitive intelligence audit is a report that we generate based on competitor data to get the lay of the land and again, find out what white space we can attack for quick wins in the campaign. We can identify where the top competitors are in terms of content and organic traffic metrics, and we can identify the general tactics that they're using to drive traction in their business. Based on our findings with WorkVivo's competitive audit, we found that their content pillars were not as aligned as the competition's when it comes to their audience. So the content they were generating was not really aligned to drive traffic from their ideal customers or to drive conversions for that matter. That's the first thing we noticed. The second thing is that the competitors were consistently generating a higher volume of content, of new content pages each month. They were also generating a higher velocity of quality backlinks to their content and their pillar or their platform pages. So this was causing them to have a significantly higher amount of overall organic traffic and also a higher PPC value. So they were generating traffic from both upper funnel terms and lower funnel terms at a higher rate. The website quality audit is a report that joins keyword volume, traffic, conversions, and metadata from 6 different sources, including Google Analytics, Google Search Console, conversion data from HubSpot, data from Screaming Frog on metadata, etc. We run this report to make a decision on what action we recommend for every single page on the site. So first thing we do is gather the data on all the site's pages. Second thing we do is lump those pages into sections and make a decision about what to do with them. Based on our findings in this report, we found 86 content pages that we needed to prune for quality, decide whether to merge, remove, refresh, or rewrite those pages. So this is actually a huge volume of existing content compared to a lot of businesses. So they already had a full library of content going, as I mentioned, and we needed to figure out why that content was not driving organic traffic and conversions. We also found 14 lead generation pages. So those are, for a tech business, the platform and the features pages that are intended to drive conversions in sales. So we also needed to perform keyword research for those pages, critique them from a conversion perspective, and update them on page. So the traffic projection analysis is a tool we built here internally. It uses inputs from competitor data, from organic traffic and conversion data, and our own forecasting models to accurately predict a campaign's ROI potential. Based on our findings, in this case, WorkVivo could expect a 4 to 6 times lift in traffic from an SEO or content marketing campaign over the long term. We did set some shorter term targets, 60% lift in organic traffic by 6 months and a 100% lift in sales qualified leads from organic traffic in that same 6 months. These lifts would be enough for an ample return on investment for the business, and we set them as benchmarks going forward. Needs. I mentioned earlier that this was an accelerated timeline. They wanted to rank and drive results really quickly. We execute campaigns based on sprints. So again, the deliverables are tied to each of those sprints, and in the framework I mentioned earlier: discover, improve, build, and promote. So we planned a discover, improve, and build sprint all out of the gate in month 1. We also put together a full project plan for every client with all deliverables and milestones attached to it, and all delivery dates up front before we ever get started. The next phase was improve. So after we have our project plan and our detailed website quality audit in place, and we know what we're going to do with every single page, we move into improving the existing assets on the site. So we started with enhancing the pillar pages, those product and feature sales pages that I mentioned earlier. For these pages, we do keyword research to identify the lower funnel keywords, or the keywords that people in this market are using when they're already in the market for a similar product. We, based on our findings, rewrite page titles, rewrite meta descriptions, provide an in-depth conversion critique, and provide UX layouts to update the pages from a conversion perspective, and rewrite the body copy for each of those pages. The 86 pages that we identified as content pages, or blog articles or resources, are intended to reach users earlier in the customer journey. So the goal of these resources is to generate interest from the target audience, to answer their important questions, and story sell WorkVivo as the ideal solution. They're less about sales and more about answering questions and generating awareness and interest and top funnel leads. Based on our findings, we remapped their content to a proper pillar and cluster. We use a pillar cluster framework, which I'm going to go into more depth about in the coming pages. But again, we wanted to realign the content with their ideal target audience and make it more likely that the traffic they were generating is going to convert into qualified leads and sales for the business. So we rewrote 11 of those blog articles to become more aligned in this regard. We merged 6 of those pages together to make them into deeper topics, and refresh the metadata, the page titles, the topics, based on our keyword research to drive more qualified traffic. 11 of those pages we identified were pretty good and could already be targeted with links, because their only shortcoming was that they weren't being promoted well enough. After we had completed the content audit and the on-page optimization, the next phase of the campaign was to build new content for the business. So during this process, we run a keyword gap analysis to identify exactly what topics the competition has used to drive traction and how we can leverage keywords from those examples. We're building an exact content pillar and cluster strategy to develop new content topics going forward over the long term. We're ideating new topics and new content tactics that the business can specifically use right away. And we're writing detailed content briefs for each of those topics and managing them through to production. So the keyword gap analysis in this case is a report that scrapes data from the company's top competitors to find the best keywords that are driving traffic to their content pages. We manually comb through all of this data from keywords and landing pages and come up with a pillar cluster strategy going forward. So based on our findings here, you could see some of the pillar and cluster groupings that we came up with. We came up with 18 content pillars and 28 content clusters for this business. Next, we formulate the detailed content strategy. So after gathering internal inputs from the business's stakeholders, from the marketing and sales teams, we identified our initial ideal prospect that we wanted to go after, which was the technical HR executive at globally distributed companies. We ran an in-depth analysis on this group and several other tertiary audiences in order to find out the media that they're using, the groups that they're part of, the platforms that they're using, etc. And based on our findings, we came up with some specific content tactics and promotional tactics that we felt would best reach this audience. Next, as far as content marketing operations, really the hardest part of any content marketing and SEO campaign is the actual execution. The strategy is of paramount importance as well, but where most internal marketing departments and agencies fall short is actually getting this content published and distributed, churning out high quality content on a consistent and regular basis. So again, we started with just one pillar, that pillar of HR executives, and around that pillar, we developed 20 new content topics to come out of the gate with. We wrote content briefs for each of those topics, including detailed keyword framing and content outline, which makes it easy to then go in, get a writer to beef up the content brief, and get that content scheduled through to production on a regular basis. The next phase of the campaign was promotion. So after our existing content and our new content is optimized and published to the site, the most important component for rankings is quality and optimized backlinks. So we start with an analysis of the client's link profile. We then prospect for publications and partners that will promote our content for us. And we go about securing and negotiating how to acquire those links in the most efficient way. So we begin by prospecting for authoritative publications where HR executives get their information that would be willing to promote our content for us. We do that by providing those publications and partners with valuable content that they would be very willing to share with their audience. And then within that content, placing promotions for our content pages. So we immediately out of the gate within the first month secured 15 publications that were high quality and relevant to the audience, publications like hrfuture.net, hrnews.co, and flippingbook.com. We pitched content topics to them that they liked. We got that content produced, and we posted links back to our own internal content from those sites. All of these sites were a minimum of 45 DR, all the way up to a DR of 90, which is a metric we use to gauge the authoritativeness of the blog and the likelihood that it will give us the power we need to drive organic traffic and rank for our target keywords. So the final phase is the evaluation phase, the impact tracking and ROI analysis. So transparent and consistent ongoing reporting against the ROI milestones that we set at the beginning of the campaign is absolutely critical to the success of any project. And this is an area where I feel that JourneyEngine stands apart from the crowd. We have built a structure here internally that we call a data pipeline. That allows us to provide transparent, always-on dashboards that give a clear view into how we're progressing against the targets that we set at the beginning of the campaign. We do weekly project tracking updates to let our clients know where we're at in terms of the content queue and what open action items we have available for them, what backlink promotions we are landing and the status of those promotions on a consistent basis. We do a monthly deep dive data analysis and objectives and key results analysis, which we share through Google Data Studio dashboards and via screen share or in-person meetings. And then we do a quarterly business review and goal resetting, where we're doing a deeper dive into how we're progressing against the objectives we set at the beginning of the campaign and making adjustments to those if needed. So now I'll run you through the results of all of this effort and show you what the payoff was. We over-delivered on all projections that we set at the beginning of the campaign. During the 6 months that we ran this campaign for, we generated a 138% increase in total organic traffic, which was over double what we had projected. We projected a 60% increase in organic traffic. This included over a 500% lift in organic traffic to the content pages of the site. So those blog articles and resources, and a 56% lift in traffic to the pillar and platform pages. Again, as I mentioned before, they had 86 current pages on the site. So refreshing, rewriting, and updating those pages drove a lift in traffic, as well as the new content pages that we developed for that site. So you can see kind of why the lift was so much higher in content and resource pages, but we still had a dramatic lift in traffic to those pillar pages. So in addition to generating big lifts in organic traffic, we also generated a lot of value off the back of that organic traffic. So one metric we use to determine traffic value is the PPC equivalent of our organic traffic. So we generated $15,000 more per month after our campaign than the client was generating prior to starting the campaign. So a $15,000 savings in PPC costs, which was important for this business. More importantly, even than that, we were driving exponentially more leads from the bottom of the funnel. So the content that we recommended for them, the layouts that we did, the content upgrades that we were recommending, were generating 11 times the sales qualified leads as they were generating from their organic traffic before. So yeah, this is another area where I feel JourneyEngine stands out, is we're really able to see organic traffic through all the way to sales qualified leads, meaning leads that have been verified and have agreed to a sales call. And the most important metric for us, of course, is very happy clients. So the marketing team at this business was very happy with the work we did. You can check out their full review at clutch.com, as well as a bunch of our other case studies here. You can read the full review where he verifies all the results that we got for him. And in addition to getting results for him, we also work with the marketing team to communicate these results with hard data and kind of coach them through the process of using that data across their organization and communicating with other departments, which I think stands out as another value add that our team brings to the table. So yeah, if you want results like this, I highly recommend that you get in touch with us for your free organic ROI forecast. Again, you can go back to the beginning of this presentation and check out the process for forecasting ROI and organic traffic off the back of a campaign. It gives you an idea of what you can accomplish with a similar campaign, as well as give you some early tactical ideas to get you started. Currently, we're running this as a free promotion. I don't think we're going to be doing this forever, and we haven't always done it. So if you're interested, make sure to click the link below and get in touch as soon as possible. And we are looking forward to working with you.